I mean, obviously, I'm basing my channel off of this. Fitness and gospel principles just have so many parallels.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're pushing the limits. It's like, I don't know if I can go on, but I've got to use my willpower to achieve what I know I can achieve. And that's great. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. And that's also okay. If you fail at something, it's not the end. You got another day, you got another attempt. And that's where a lot of growth happens, is in that failure. So yeah, it's wonderful to have those spiritual moments while you're sweating heavy under a bar.
We are Saints in the South, your source for gospel growth and good times. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Saints in the South. Today we have a special guest on with us. We have Brother Tony Rolfe.
That's right.
He gave me a heads up. He said, pronounce it like golf. So, well, hey, good to have you on. As I mentioned to you, came across you on Instagram and you had an interesting handle there about being the world's strongest seminary teacher. And I'm highly interested in fitness and strength and, staying active and everything. So you definitely grabbed my attention. But if you would just give us a little intro about yourself, a little bit of a background and your upbringing and so forth. So.
For sure. Real quick comment, that World's Strongest Seminary Teacher title is self-appointed.
Right.
There's probably more than a dozen of my Instagram followers that I can think of just now off the top of my head, that if they were called to be seminary teachers, I would gladly have to pass over that title to them.
Right.
But I can always add an S to the Instagram, and it can be the World's Strongest Seminary Teachers if I need it to be.
Yeah. There you go. I know that when I was like, man, I wasn't invited to that competition. How did he get that?
Yeah, completely self-appointed.
Right.
That being said, I've only been competing in strongman, in the sport of strongman, since about COVID.
Okay.
COVID, in fact, is kind of what spurred this whole thing when they were shutting down gyms, and it was like, okay, well, how do I figure out what to lift? And I remember I had just had a dead tree in my backyard chopped down, and I still had a bunch of the trunks and limbs and stuff. And I was like, well, there's my gym now. And I'm picking it up, and I'm just curious. I have no idea what these things weigh, but it looks really cool. And I remember watching stuff like this on ESPN, the old World's Strongest Man competition. So I looked those up, and sure enough, at the time I'm living in Roswell, New Mexico, and in El Paso, Texas, which is a pretty easy drive away, they're holding a strongman competition. So I start training for that. Now this is like March of 2020.
Okay.
That competition kept getting kicked down the road. So I trained for it for like a year, showed up, won, and I was like, okay, I think I have the itch now. And luckily enough, when I moved up to Montana, I was able to find a strongman gym up here, a great group of guys that I've been training with, since 2021. And it is scratched an itch that I have had in terms of finding something fitness wise that I just absolutely love. And I haven't felt this good about, moving since probably playing football in high school. So,
so what, well, I guess, what is it that, I mean, is it just the power that you feel, the strength that you feel when moving big loads? And
for sure. Yeah. It's kind of always chasing that PR high, right, if you will. And what I love about it is, and this isn't a knock on powerlifting, because I would love to do powerlifting. It would fix my form and technique on a lot of things. But with strongman, the variation is not only picking up heavy things, but can you pick it and move with it quickly? So, so you can challenge yourself on, okay, I got this weight up. Now can I get it 50 feet faster than I did before? And you can just keep chasing that PR over and over and over again. There's really no limit to what you can do, weight or time or distance or whatever. And it's been a wonderful challenge. Certainly kept me healthier than I would be, just sitting around at the office, staring at a computer screen all day.
Right. So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
Oh my gosh, I got to do the math now. It's 25. So I'm 42 years old now.
Okay.
Which allows me to compete in the Masters division, which is just crazy to me. Yeah. But yeah, I do try this. this summer I'll be going up against the young guys to try and set the state record for the log clean and press. So
okay,
I
wow.
opted not to do masters in that category. I'm feeling pretty good, and as long as my spine complies, I think we'll be in business.
So what's the what is the record? What are you going for?
There's no state record, so whoever gets the highest will get the state.
Gotcha.
And this is for Strongman Corporation. It's one of the organizations that runs a majority of the events. So the state record is open. The national record is 300, and I can hit 315 in training. So,
oh wow.
So feeling
yeah,
good.
feeling good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome.
Look, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I know you asked about my background too. I grew up in Ohio, and you know, when you think about the sports or the states that get a lot of the recruits for college football, you get probably California, Texas, Florida, and Ohio are usually those top ones. So I remember very clearly competing against guys that already had Division I scholarships to Ohio State and Michigan and all those. And I held my own against them, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll take football to the next level. Obviously that didn't happen, but that was always, like, sports were always my passion.
Right.
And but then I went to college, came back off my mission, got married, and got lazy. I got real lazy. And it took until about 2008 when the market crashed real bad. And I had a decent job, but man, I was just working and, you know, eating dinner. That's, you know, rinse and repeat, not really doing anything active. And it's funny, I don't know if maybe the spirit told me the writing was on the wall, but kind of around that 2008 period, I'm thinking, okay, I need to get fit again. Living in Orem, Utah at the time, a Muay Thai gym opens up right up the road from my apartment. And I'm thinking, okay, that's it. I'm going to join that and I'm going to get in shape. So I do that. The economy crashes. I get laid off. And one of the guys I trained with at the gym was an Army recruiter. And he's like, I got a job for you. And so that's what I ended up doing. I joined the Army, and luckily, because I had spent that time at the Muay Thai gym just getting into shape, I didn't really have to get myself Army ready. Like I was there. Yep. And so, of course, you know, in the Army, they have their fitness standards, and I was able to really push my limits. And you know, probably the best running shape I've ever been in for sure was during my 12 years in the Army. But yeah, since then
so you joined the Army after your mission and after you got married.
I did. Yeah, I was 26 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Going into basic training, I felt like the old man there.
Right. I imagine. Yeah.
And they looked at me like the old man. Your audience will hopefully appreciate this. Had a large number of soldiers from Alabama and Georgia, and you know, I grew up just across the river from Kentucky. I thought I understood the Southern drawl and the Southern slang. Those guys spoke a different language. I couldn't understand them at first.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. I know I served my mission in Nevada out west.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and I remember being in the MTC, and I would pronounce Nevada as Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, a missionary says, he said, I promise you'll be saying Nevada here pretty soon. And I said, no, I won't ever convert to that. And anyway, I came back and instead of saying oil, I was saying oil, and instead of saying water, I was saying water. And I was calling Nevada. So it's definitely different for sure.
Well, and here's the gospel and fitness correlation with that. The people and the environment that you surround yourself with, that's what you adopt.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to be spiritual, surround yourself with good spiritual people. If you want to be fit, and this is what I love about where I'm at now, surround yourself with people who are going to drive you, who are not going to let you slack off.
Absolutely.
So
I love that. I love that analogy with the fitness and really, like you say, like anything that you do, you know, surround yourself. You know, I think I've heard people say, you know, I guess maybe I guess maybe the person that you are, the five closest individuals around you, that's who you're most like, from
Absolutely.
finances to fitness to spirituality and everything. Where did you serve your mission?
I was in Germany, Frankfurt. So,
okay.
which was really cool because my dad had served in Germany. My older brother was in Denmark, and then I got to Germany, and then my little brother went to Germany, and I had one brother end up in Washington State, but then the last brother was also in Germany. So
Gotcha.
it's kind of crazy. We're doing something wrong. They keep sending us back. I don't know why.
That man. So how you still pretty fluent?
It's a little rusty, but I ended up majoring in German in college. My idea then was just finish my undergraduate as fast as I can and then get to the MBA. That didn't happen. That's fine. So the first job I really had after graduating was with a patent translation company right there in Provo, Utah. That really upped my language skills. And so, yeah, I've been fortunate, been able to hold on to it pretty well. If I had to rattle off, some high level conversation, it'd be a little shaky, but give me a week in country and I'll probably find it again.
So we've come a long way. So my grandfather on my father's side, he was a POW in Germany for 8 months.
Jeez.
And everything stuff. So he ended up getting hit by some shrapnel from a grenade and everything. He ended up surviving and coming home. But yeah, that's
that's good.
Yeah. And then Kenny, who's on the co-host here on the show, his stepson served in Germany
right on.
during the COVID year. So from 2020 to 2022, something like that.
I'm glad he was able to stay in country. I know a lot of folks had to come home. So
yeah, So it was. I'm trying to remember exactly when he went because it was after they were started opening things back up a little bit. They were still having to stay in the apartment. It took him forever to actually get into the country of Germany.
Oh wow!
But anyway, eventually you made it there and everything. But did a great job serving. So how many children you have?
I got 4 kids, and in fact, I've got one in the mission. Technically in the South, North Carolina counts as the South, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep. He's serving there in Charlotte. So yeah. If anybody sees Elder Rolf, hanging around Charlotte, be nice to him.
We just had 2 missionaries come home recently. I can't remember if they were the Charlotte mission or not. One was Spanish speaking and the other one was English speaking, but they were both in North Carolina, but from our ward and everything. So
outstanding.
Yeah. And we've got a couple, we just had another young man receive his call. We've got 3 that are going to California or are in California and from our ward. So we've got a good, really good bunch serving and everything right now. So
it's the best thing to see. I love seeing the youth still getting excited for this. I think we as the older parents, there's always a little bit of worry. It's like, oh man, are they feeling the spirit? Are they wanting to do this? And my experience is yes, they are very much so. The torch is going to be carried, and it's going to be carried well.
That's right. You've heard a lot about worries about the youth and the kind of the almost maybe the backsliding a little bit of the youth, but I think I tend to agree with President Nelson and the other brethren. I mean, they're as strong as ever. I mean, you're always going to have those that are falling away and everything, but at the same time, you have just as many, if not more, living a strong gospel-centered life for sure. So,
yep, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about your seminary teaching. So how long have you been teaching seminary?
So I got called. What I guess it would have been the latter half of 2023. It was as we were finishing up the last part of the New Testament. So mostly the epistles of Paul. Not the most exciting content, but we can make it work, right?
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, latter half of 2023, and yeah, it's been a great experience. The first group that I had a lot of athletes, a lot of folks doing baseball, basketball, wrestling,
right.
And so that first semester that I was teaching, I really wanted to dig deep into the doctrine and show them all sorts of fascinating things about geography and history, and really do these like academic deep dives. And at 6:45 in the morning, you start off academic and the kids are so I'm thinking, all right, I got to switch gears here and actually make it something that is digestible for the kids. And so it was when I was preparing for the Book of Mormon the next semester, and I'm thinking 3rd Nephi 3:7, you know, the Lord provides a way, and I'm thinking, haha, way, like protein. And I was like, maybe there's something there. And so I made that first little stupid video. And it's funny, if you go back and watch that very first one I made, you can tell there's a big learning curve on, on how to make content for the internet. So that one was really bad, but you know, whatever, first attempt, and they seem to like it. And so I said, okay, if this is how I keep them engaged, I'm going to keep doing this.
That's right.
And I'm going to make it as cringy as I possibly can. And they seem to like that. So that's how that all started.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of people have a hard time, including myself, putting themselves in front of a camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then putting it out there for everybody to see. Did you struggle with that at all? Or does your personality kind of tend to go a little natural with that?
Yeah, yes and no. I used to really struggle being in front of people. This is probably more high school. Like we're talking stand in front of the class to give a 2-minute presentation, and I'm getting either, you know, ghost white, or the schwitz start coming in, and I'm just sweating bullets there. It probably wasn't until my mission that I really started to feel comfortable just being natural in front of people. Now I really enjoy public speaking. You know, church talks are never a bother. But putting it out on the internet, that's a little bit different. You talk about, you know, exposing yourself to a potentially hostile audience, and they're out there. I'm sure you know it. They're out there. You know, I guess I have enough of an ego to not care too much. But at the same time, it's, you know, every time I push submit or send or whatever, and that video starts to upload, little voice in the back of my head is like, are you sure you want to put this out there? Like, are you sure that's good stuff? You know, might not be. So, and you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, we have one of our opening slogan to our show is gospel growth in good times. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're doing is exemplifying that. You're having a good time living the gospel and sharing the gospel.
I think that sums it up perfectly. You know, there's the famous verse, and I'm going to get it wrong. I want to say it's in Romans. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. And it's, you know, to me, it's more than that. It's not even about not being ashamed. I enjoy this. I enjoy sharing my faith and my testimony, and it's been that way. I guess my life experience is, you know, I grew up in an area where the church wasn't very dominant. Ended up in the Army where, you know, especially during your training phases, you might be one of only 2-3 members in the entire company. And you know, people will make fun of you, or they'll think you're weird until they realize that you're the kind of person that they can rely on, and they'll see you as you know, a good example of how to get through some of the difficult parts of life. That was true in high school. That was very true in the Army, and you're holding to your testimony will pay off in the long run. It's hard to see sometimes, but just be consistent. Hold on to it. It'll pay off.
Absolutely. So there may be some people out there that haven't seen you. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to share one of your clips here. So I'm going to pull this up. Let's see here. We got you. I'm going to click on one. I think we're going to do this.
I say rock and roll. I say hip hop. Rock, hip hop. Boys, why the contention? We're arguing about what the best kind of music is for stone lifting. I say it's rock because, you know, rocks. And I say hip hop because you have to engage your hips. That's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. No, you. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When I'm gearing up for a really big stone lift, I listen to this. What? Hymns? You're trolling us. I'm serious. I hit 2 big PRs listening to this song. I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm feeling hyped to bear my testimony, but not lift. Why don't you put it to the test then? Like I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'll try it.
Dude, I'm pumped, man. I am pumped.
There is
that's awesome.
There is a great story behind that. So I mentioned as we were chatting earlier, I think before we hit record there, when I hit my personal log press PR, I was actually listening to that song, and I didn't intend to. It just kind of came up, and I'm like, you know what, this is, it's a hymn. It's very somber, very spiritual, and I just let it play.
Right.
And man, I don't know. I had sometimes, especially with complex lifting, and those of you out there who do powerlifting, especially powerlifting and Olympic lifting, those require you to be dialed in on technique, and you really have to be focused and do like 100 different things correctly just to get the weight up. And so I really just felt clear. I felt very present, and that lift came up. So I was like, okay, I need to put this in the reserve. And when I recorded that, the rock that you see me lift there is the second largest that we have at the gym. That one's 390. I really, really wish it was an even 400. And I'm kicking myself for not duct taping a little 10-pound weight just on top of it. But I put the song on and said, okay, let's see what happens here. And that ended up being like a 40-pound PR for me that day.
Wow.
So yes, my videos may be cheesy, but I promise you, whatever I'm showing you there, I really do try to live it. And that music one, man, I lived it. And I lived it twice. So the challenge that I give you there, absolutely try. If you're going for something big, try listening to something that, and it doesn't have to be like hymns or anything, but listen to something that helps you have good clarity of mind. So yeah, that was a good day.
Absolutely. I love that, man. So I know you've mentioned you've got a home gym.
I do.
Correct? Yeah. So yeah, I've got a home gym as well, and that's actually where I prefer to lift and exercise and so forth, because I don't have to worry about anybody else, but I will do the same thing. Well, I won't put on hymns. I haven't done that yet. I am going to have to try that. But what I do put on, now I listen to the rock, something that gets you jagged up and all that stuff. But I will also put on some very good Christian contemporary music, and really play it. And I've had some spiritual experiences listening to that while lifting. It's a weird kind of sensation and a different way to feel the spirit, but you can. I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is where, fitness, I mean, obviously I'm basing my channel off of this. Fitness and gospel principles just have so many parallels.
Oh yeah.
And I think, fitness, especially when you're pushing the limits, it's almost like you're getting yourself down to a point where it's like, I don't know if I can go on, but I've got to use my willpower to achieve what I know I can achieve. And that's great. Sometimes we're successful. Sometimes we're not. And that's also okay.
Right.
That I think that also teaches us that if you fail at something, it's not the end. You got another day. You got another attempt. And that's where a lot of growth happens, is in that failure. So yeah, it's wonderful to have those spiritual moments while you're sweating heavy under a bar.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Have you seen, and I know you mentioned, your original approach, and you figured out kind of quickly that, kind of doing deep dives and doctrine and history and things like that. So as you transitioned, what kind of effect or what kind of result have you seen with your students?
A lot of it comes after the fact. Mind you, this is still early morning seminary, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
right, yeah.
and to all you other teachers out there, take courage, right? Because sometimes you'll get to the end of a lesson and it's like nobody said anything, or only a handful of students were speaking, and you're like, man, did I reach them at all? And then you have parents hit you up afterwards, or church leaders, or maybe the kids themselves. One of my students who was more on the quiet side, I bumped into him when he was working at a fast food restaurant, and he just thanked me. He's like, I love your seminary class so much. I'm like, that's great. I wish you would have told me that during class. Like, I was worried if I was reaching you or not. Yeah, I think the biggest indicator, are they showing up? Sometimes that's the parents making them show up, but
That's right.
But are they showing up? Are they staying? Like I said, it can be discouraging because kids are kids. It's early.
That's right.
You might not get the feedback that you want, but yeah, for me, the feedback has usually come after the fact.
Okay. So I taught for 2 years as well, and it's early morning. I mean, I know there would be days where I show up, and I mean, I'm just fully excited all about, teaching the lesson, and feel like it's going to be a great day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just felt, I walk out of there feeling like I fell flat on my face, and didn't reach anybody, or, didn't, not small participation and everything. And then on other day, and then on other days, you feel like it's the exact opposite. Like, man, that went horrible. But then in their minds, it goes great. It's a weird combination of
really
events.
Is. It really is. I think that parallels parenting as well. You have days with your kids, and it's just like, man, like, am I getting anything across to them? And you are. And again, this is where you tie back to the gym. Consistency is king.
Right.
I think if your kids, any of the youth that you work with, if they see you putting forth the effort,
mm-hmm.
and that you're engaged, and I think they're aware when you have bad days, that's fine.
Right.
But you have a bad day and then you show up the next day. It's like, all right, he's not a quitter. He's not giving up on me. So consistency is king, and it always will be. Just keep after it.
Yeah.
That's where the success is.
I like, so, the work formula, force times distance equals work.
Mm-hmm.
So one that I like to put together is E times C equals R. So that's effort times consistency equals results. And that was one of the things that I would always share with the students. I'm like, look, I can do everything that I can to help you, to help. And I told them, I'm not the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only a facilitator. The Spirit is the one that's doing the teaching, and you're only going to get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely. Yep.
What about some thoughts on helping parents help their children want to attend, and when their children are basically refusing to attend? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I cheated my first 2 years of seminary as a student because my mom was a seminary teacher, and it was in my basement, right?
Okay. Yeah. Hard to get away from that.
Hard to get away. And, I'm waking up 5 minutes before class, and, I'm a guy, so I don't have to do much to get ready, and just stroll downstairs and I'm good to go. Yeah, parents, this is one where, your consistency and your example helps. And I know that's not a fix all for everything. But it's one of those things where if you can instill in your kids the knowledge, like you said, it's that consistency of effort that pays off in results. I think your kids will see that in everything. If you have to relate it to some of the things that they're good at, like a video game,
right?
I know parents don't like to use video games as an example of something good, but I don't know if you've got any kids out there who are playing Elden Ring. That's a difficult game, and if they're getting through it, that's consistency and effort right there. So hey, there you go. Consistency and effort got you to the end of that game, and it'll do the same for seminary. Seminary can and will be a very enjoyable thing, but man, you got to fight through the bad days.
Right.
Because there's days I, as a teacher, I wake up and I'm like, I am not feeling it today. I'm really not. I'm tired.
So what do you do as a seminary teacher on those days or those weeks? I mean, you just kind of power through it, or?
Well, power through, but the trick I learned as a soldier is you got to get yourself out of bed. If you get yourself out of bed and then you make your bed right away, it's like, well, I can't get back in bed. Look at how nice it looks. And usually my dear wife is asleep in there, so I'm not trying not to disturb her too. I will have my phone or my alarm somewhere where it's more out of reach, or something where it's in a position that I actually have to get up to silence it. So if I get up and then just force myself to keep moving, whether it's to the shower or just to brush my teeth or something, like okay, I'm out of bed, I've done something. If I try to go to sleep now, it's going to take me 30 minutes to fall asleep. So that now we're toast. Right. So, okay, I'm up, I may as well do something. And I feel the same way about gym time sometimes. Mm-hmm. I really do have days where I'm just like, I don't want to go. But I know I've got a competition coming up and I've got this training plan. So I'm going to try my best to stick with it. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, I end up having a very good day, both at seminary and at the gym. As we talked about, some days the lesson just isn't what you had hoped it would be. Right. That's fine. Some days the lifts just didn't go up like you thought they would. And okay, that day's done. And you're going to go to bed and you're going to wake up and it's a new day, and you just keep you keep moving forward, and your progress is going to go up and down, but it's usually over a long enough time, it's going up. So
that's right.
Yeah. So parents, just stick with it. Just try and be as consistent as you can. Any students that are listening to this, consistency, you gotta put it to the test, right? If your coach, if you're in baseball and your coach says, I have this thing that if you practice this 20 times a day, it'll make your fastball that much faster. Are you going to tell them like, I'd rather not? No, you put it to the test.
That's right.
Try that technique, and it's the same with your scripture study, with seminary attendance. Just put it to the test. You'll see the results.
Absolutely. It makes me think of the the promise there, Moroni's promise at the end of the Book of Mormon. Mm-hmm. Read it, study it, ponder it, pray about it, and these things will be made known to you, by the power of the Holy Ghost.
It's a very real thing, certainly for the gospel and anything else you want to, test yourself in life. I do love that. I think we've probably seen that meme. It was I can't remember which church congregation it is, but it said on the front, don't pray about the Book of Mormon. That's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, if you take those steps and do what Moroni promised, it's going to get you.
Right. That's right. Let me ask you this: did you do scouting at all?
I did. Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout.
Okay. All right. Yep. Very good. Very good.
Now I had to be incentivized for that. My dad's policy was, if you want me to pay for your driver's license education, you got to get that Eagle. So
okay,
so that was the incentive, but it worked. It worked. I've got 4 brothers, and it worked on all 5 of us. So
okay, well that's great. My grandfather, so my father wasn't active in the church and everything. Never pushed the scouts, but my grandfather, he had 2 or 3 sons that were Eagle Scouts, and man, he wanted me and my brother to be an Eagle Scout. I mean, bad. And he paid for summer camps for us to, go do things. And my last summer camp for Boy Scouts came one day after I had gotten home from a week I was in middle school and had been going a week at basketball camp up at UGA. And came home for a day and then immediately went right back out. ended up almost getting in a couple of fights, and it was just, I was miserable out there. You know, I had no desire. I liked the camping, but I had no desire to do the merit badge earning. You know, looking back, you know, I see the wisdom in it now, but they couldn't reach me. And when I came home, I said, I'm done with scouts. You know, I'm doing my sports, you know, that's it. I ask you all that because obviously we're not a part of Boy Scouts of America anymore. But what they have started doing in seminary are the life skills implementation. Have you started that, and how is that going? If you have.
I have, and the topics are very enjoyable. Where I see myself falling a little bit short is I really want to make it more hands-on, and I have a little bit larger class, and I would love to give them, you know, those hands-on Boy Scout skills, even if we're just tying knots, or might be a little bit against the rules to start a fire in the Relief Society room. We'd probably have to go out in the parking lot, but yeah, as soon as I saw that those were things that needed to be implemented, I was like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. So what I've tried to do, and the kids have done a good job stepping up. I said, hey, you hear from me all the time. Here are the topics. Do you know somebody, your dad, an uncle, somebody in the ward, anybody that is good at this thing? Bring them in. We'll, you know, I'll give them the floor, and they can teach you. And yeah, well, it's starting off a little bit slowly. We only just started doing that in January, but but yeah, it's a fantastic and necessary opportunity for these kids to learn these things, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, more and more we as parents as a whole, and I'm not talking about just the church, I'm talking about just generations in general, that we tend to do more and more for our kids, and don't require, or we require less and less of them as a society, and we hurt them in the long run. So you know, teaching them these skills and giving them opportunities to implement those skills, I think goes a long way.
Yep. It's funny. This is a quote that I think is attributed to Sigmund Freud, you know, the original psychologist. It's kind of been repopularized by Jordan Peterson, but it's like, hey, if you want your kid to succeed, you kind of have to fail at your primary duty as a parent, and our primary duty is to keep them safe, right? Don't let anything bad happen to them.
That's right.
But if we're 100% successful in letting nothing bad happen to our kids, we've messed them up for life.
That's right. That's right.
They got to be exposed to heartbreak and failure, and you know, a little bit of frustration, a lot of frustration, and they got to learn how to power through those things. Yeah, we're not doing our kids any favors by giving them, you know, cookie cutter assignments.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, and that's, you know, learning how to get through those tough times. That's a life skill in and of itself. You're right. Yeah. We may not think initially think of that as a life skill, but I think it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So grateful that this has been being reintegrated into seminary. I may have to see if there's a way that we could do some weekend activities. Yeah. Get them out in the woods. Probably not campouts. That's more the domain of the young men, young women's program. But yeah, we can use those summer, you know, the summer activities as an opportunity to, you know, kind of implement these more hands-on skills, for sure.
Yeah, and when the Boy Scouts of America, it provided a really good structure for leaders of the church to use. I mean, everything was there, the program and everything. You just had to implement it, and it really provided, like I say, a really good structure for us to use to help teach and these young men. When that went away, I think as a whole, the church, you know, lost sight of doing the camping, you know, doing the outdoors and the hiking and all those things. And we definitely need to do a better job of getting. I know locally we here need to do that. I don't know how y'all have been able to do that.
Well, you know, I live in Montana. It's the outdoorsman's paradise, right?
That's right. That's right.
and even then, you know, it's a struggle sometimes to get the kids, you know, hyped for doing things like this. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's scouting provided the structure, but it's still up to us to implement.
Yeah.
So whereas I miss scouting as a structure, there's no reason for us not to be still implementing a lot of the activities or the principles, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, that still falls on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to push the kids into a little bit of discomfort.
That's right. So maybe speaking of discomfort a little bit, what are your thoughts on seminary teachers being paid and versus not paid? Because we, like out in Utah, I mean, there's professional seminary teachers, and then when you get outside of Utah, it's a calling, it's a volunteer situation, but it also feels like, having done it, another full-time job, as much if you do it right, the amount of preparation and everything that goes in there. Has that ever been brought up? Have you ever thought about it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it hasn't been brought up as far as being compensated, being paid for the work. I think I'll strike a nerve with a lot of the seminary teachers out there that we really would like the budget to be increased.
Yes.
If anything, just for materials, being able to be creative with lessons that you're going to have to buy stuff, incentivizing with donuts every now and then.
All right.
Yeah, I get it, and I get it. It's tithing money, but yeah, I think it's a useful implementation to put forth materials, food on occasion. Certainly not every day. Yeah, as I can't say I have a strong opinion on being compensated. It would be really silly if I did. My dad, who was a very successful businessman, he was an executive with Procter and Gamble when we lived in Cincinnati. That's not a small company.
Right.
But he still served as stake president, as bishop, as mission in the mission presidency in Cincinnati, and now he's still doing a lot of these service capacities in the church that take up most of his day, and it's just it's just what he does.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I haven't I don't have a like a strong, seminary teachers need to be paid or anything like that. I have thought about it, and I've talked about it with a few different individuals that have taught seminary, and on one hand, because it is an everyday thing, and again, I believe to do it right, the preparation that's needed, especially for those that, some people can just kind of wing that stuff. Others require, more preparation. And since they do actually get credit, for these things, it's not just a Sunday school, teacher, I think it's, so I think it's worth considering, but
I'm not opposed to it by any means.
Right.
No, I think maybe aside from, I'm probably going to hurt feelings by saying this. Keep in mind, I've never served in the Relief Society, but I've seen the Relief Society in action, and I know y'all are working hard.
Right.
So I don't mean to disparage that, but I feel like between seminary teachers and bishops, that's probably the two most time-consuming roles that you can have at the ward level for sure.
Right. Yeah, just something fun to kind of think about. Do you have any other thoughts about seminary or youth or anything like that?
It's funny. I kind of had this pipe dream about a seminary is one of those things where it's helpful for your application to BYU affiliated schools.
Right.
I would love there to be an accreditation program to where attending early morning seminary gives you just college level credit anyway. I don't know what that would look like. I'm not an academic. I know that there's a lot of regulations and policies that would need to be implemented. But if your kids are showing up and they really don't want, or they don't have the desire to attend a BYU affiliated school, like that's fine. I think they should still be able to turn that into whatever school they want to go to. Is like, hey, I attended these things. It was an accredited course. I learned a lot, and here's my grades to go with it. I would love to see it help with college admissions just in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have not thought about that at all. That's a very good point. For
And again,
sure.
yeah, I have no idea what that would look like. I don't know what goes into that.
Right.
But it's just a little idea that's been, tickling the back of my brain. So,
And it may provide just a little extra incentive that someone
right,
needs,
right.
to go and to take it serious, for sure.
Yep. And I've had some kids say, I don't need the 75% attendance. I don't want to meet the graduation requirements. It doesn't do anything for me because I'm not applying to BYU. And I
Right.
find that unfortunate. It's like, no, that's not, seminary is not so that you can apply to BYU. Seminary is so that you can come closer to Christ and have build your relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's a way to incentivize that more generally, for just college admissions in, broadly, I would love to see that happen. I'm sure there's an academic out there who can call me up right now and say, here's why that doesn't work, but that's okay. It's just an idea I had.
Yeah. I tell you, man, the youth are precious. They're the future. I'm 46. I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 seniors this year. My oldest turns 20 this year. She's special needs, and so she decided to stay back one more year and graduate with her brother. So
That's cool.
which is really cool. And then we have a 14-year-old son and then a 12-year-old daughter.
All right.
And one of the things that I spend the most thinking about is, am I doing this parenting thing right? Am I making the right choices as a dad for them? And it was something that I looked forward to before I ever got married, just the opportunity to be a dad and raise a family. And now that we've been doing it for, almost 21 years now, it's crazy how fast time gets by. And especially with my 2 older ones, it's like, man, they're, I'm about to have, the influence that I have is about to be gone. My son, he leaves in August. He's going to Arcadia, California.
Oh, cool. That's the mission call.
Yep. Yeah,
All
Arcadia.
right.
So
Excellent.
he's pretty excited about that, and ready to get out there and start serving and everything. But yeah, I mean, how much do you have similar thoughts?
Oh, what you said was spot on there. And it got me thinking. One of my favorite movies growing up was Hook with Robin Williams.
Yep.
And there's a line in there that I as a kid I dismissed it because it didn't mean anything to me then. But it's Peter Pan's wife, kind of chastising Peter for paying too much attention to work instead of the kids. And she says something to the effect of, it's like, you got a few precious years where like they actually want you around, and it goes by fast.
Right.
And if you waste those times, man, it's gone. And yeah, now that I've got one out of the house, I've got another. She's a junior. It's funny. I think my kids line up very closely to yours there. But yeah, it's like life is moving in fast forward. As soon as the oldest hit high school, it's like things are moving so quickly, and it hits you. It's like that first one is a freshman in high school in like 4 years, and they're potentially out of the house, college, mission, all of that, and it becomes very real. And then you start asking yourself those questions, like you were saying, man, did I do this? Did I do any of this right? It's a sobering thought. And I think that's where having that good relationship with the Savior helps. Understanding how the atonement works, how the grace of his sacrifice works, helps to mitigate those failures, those mistakes that we made. And of course we made mistakes. None of us did this perfectly.
Right.
But yeah, because of that atonement, we get to have that knowledge that it's gonna be okay. It really will be. So
yeah, we Rogue Bishop on the channel here, he likes to talk about when you start maybe beating yourself up a little bit, where if you didn't do it right this way, didn't do it right that way. He says, remember, the most perfect parents ever, our Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, they had a third that didn't follow them and make the choice to follow. So, you know, it ends up being their choice in the end. And I'm sure, we're not perfect, but if you're striving to do things right, if you're trying your best, applying the atonement like you're talking about, you know, his mercy is going to is going to, you know, take over, and, you know, it's going to be what it is, but it'll be all right in the end.
Yep, absolutely. I've told my students, you know, our life is almost like a Marvel movie. We know the good guys win in the end.
That's
like
right.
You go into the movie knowing that Captain America is going to win.
Yeah,
we know this, but we still want to watch the movie.
that's
And
right.
we, as participants in this thing, we still get to choose, hey, which side of this movie are we going to be on? And we can still choose the winning side. And you know, things are going to work out. So just understand that you got to have a little bit of conflict. Otherwise, the movie's not interesting.
Absolutely. That's right. Well, we'll get ready to close this out here in just a little bit, but had a couple of ending questions here for you. So we always end with, y'all keep on striving. You know, that's kind of our tagline there. So what does that mean to you to keep on striving?
Comes back to that consistency of effort, right? And we've brought this up several times in the show already. Bad days are bound to happen. They have to happen. Otherwise, you get no context for when things are good. I don't like using the word motivation, because motivation is an emotion, right?
Right.
And you'll wake up days and your testimony might be flagging, or, you know, you're having a fight with your spouse, or, you know, as a kid, you're like, man, I'm just not feeling welcome at church. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I know what the true principles are. I might not be feeling it right now, but I know where the results can be found. And that's where you got to put your effort, and be consistent with that. Understanding that the payoff is coming, and it may take a little bit. It may not come in the time frame that you want, but the payoff does come. I've seen that in the gym where I plateaued, and it's just like nothing, and then I get over that hump. If you quit, it's never going to happen, and that's a guarantee. But if you keep striving, it will happen.
Absolutely. That makes me think of Elder Holland's talk, where he promises, you know, those that, you know, about the blessings that will come. And he says, they may not come, you know, when you want, they may not even come in this lifetime, but I promise you they will come.
Yep.
That's a comforting thing.
Absolutely.
Last question is, so let me pull this up right here. So is this right? At seminary.strong?
That's
right?
it. Yep.
Okay. So on Instagram, where do you see this channel going? Is it something that you plan on, you know, hanging on to even when you're released and things like that? What are you doing?
For sure. You know, and I may have to change my, you know, self-given title there. But Seminary Strong will stay. And the way that I try to structure right now is I try to keep it in line with the Come Follow Me lesson.
Yeah,
and you know, that's going to circle back around again, and I'll try and come up with new things. And what I would like to see in the future, those of you younger folk that are watching too, I would love to see kids, you know, sharing their own progress in the gym, in sports, in church. I want to see that. I want to highlight that. And if you're okay with me highlighting that, great. If the channel grows big enough to get some interest, really the only sponsorship I'm looking for here is BYU chocolate milk. That's all I want. So, which I don't think they're allowed to do. So it's a pie in the sky thing, which is fine. So, yep.
That's great. I think you know, you've mentioned you didn't quite realize how it would end up, you know, taking off there for you. I think it's a great thing that you're doing with your channel. It's a very creative way to get gospel conversation going. And again, it's a great way to have some gospel growth and good times there.
Well, it's been very fun and very fulfilling for me. So
very good. Well, hey man, we thank you very much for coming on and visiting with us here for a little bit. And for everyone out there, check Tony out. Again, it's on Instagram at seminary.strong. Do you have any other channels or any other social media you want to share, or is that pretty much it?
No, that's pretty much it. And, put out 1, maybe 2 videos a week, and that's about all I can handle. So.
Right. I hear that. So, well, do you do your own editing and stuff?
I do. And it's funny. I've got a nephew who is he's a teenager, but he is really good at this stuff. And one of these days, I'm probably just going to hand it off to him because he'll make them a lot better.
That's right.
So
I've tried doing that with mine, trying to get my son or my nephew and everything. And they've done some, but they're busy with all their stuff and,
of course, yeah,
practices and school and all that. But I tell you, they've got some tools. The key is, I guess, really trying to learn utilize these AI tools and all that stuff. So it's there's a ton out there to use and learn. That's for sure. It's
too much.
It's too much. It's exactly. It's too much. There's so much you don't know where to go, and where to turn. So.
And I try to stay on top of technology, and I'll get surprised by the kids in class like, oh no, you do it this way. Like, oh,
right.
Geez.
Oh wow.
I'm behind the curve already.
Well, very good. Tony, again, thank you for coming on, and maybe we can have you on here again sometime. And
anytime, especially in the height of football season when the SEC and Big Ten rivalries are at their peak.
Dude, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you. So I'm sure you watch the Ohio State. So you're Ohio State Buckeye. Is that your team? Or?
So having grown up in Cincinnati, I like Ohio State because it's nice to have a team that's kind of always in the national championship talk. But my heart is with BYU. Like if BYU plays Ohio State, I'm rooting for BYU.
Gotcha.
But yeah, because I grew up in Ohio State's always it's the default team. But I love them.
I gotcha. So were you watching when Georgia and Ohio State played in the playoffs?
Oh yes. And New Year's Eve.
That's right. Yep,
Yes.
That's right. And the targeting call that was overturned against Marvin Harrison Jr. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny, like that. That's not the call that just broke my heart. Targeting is one of those things where everybody says like, oh, targeting calls never go my team's way, and maybe that's true. As a BYU fan, it definitely feels that way. Man, I don't know. I feel bad for refs. I think they have just a terrible job. I can't believe people even volunteer to do that. Well, they get paid, sure, but talk about just a terrible existence. Yeah, I don't like putting games down to penalties or calls like that. And to all you Utah fans listening there, don't put the BYU game down to that one penalty.
That's right.
Plenty of opportunities to close that game out. Yeah. No, what broke my heart was we were at a friend's house on New Year's Eve, and I couldn't believe it. As soon as it hit midnight, man, that ball just whoop.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my goodness. But hey, good job on your dogs there.
Yeah,
they certainly earned that championship. So
very good, very good. Well, all righty. Well, everybody, until next time, y'all keep on striving.
We'll see you.